Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Siobhan and this is Makeup by Siobhan XX. Today we're going to be doing this tutorial, which is of a snow queen. This will be my first tutorial, so if you do like it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Any comments I will look at. So a few things that you're going to need are lashes, eyeshade style glitter, artificial snow, Jeffree Star Drug Lord, Reflex Blue Glitter by MAC, a MAC 221, a Zoeva 221, cheap eBay brushes, snowflake sequins, a wig, snowflake headband, eyelash glue, a hairband to keep your hair back, micellar water, foundation of your choice. I used NARS Sheer Glow, MAC Select Cover Up, a MAC 242, a MAC 252, a Morphe 35B palette, a white liner by NYX. These are the items I use, you don't have to. Let's get on with it. This is where we're going to make the snow. This is the instructions, although I didn't really follow them and you'll see why. I bought 10 grams of product, so we're going to empty the product into the bowl. I only searched for fake snow for it to come up. You can buy it in larger quantities if you want, but I only needed a little bit. Then I added about 100 ml worth of product. This actually isn't micellar water, it's just normal water in the bottle. And the reason I didn't follow instructions is, as you can see, it was just about at the consistency I needed it. Not quite, but just about. And the instructions, I believe, read 200 to 300 ml, I think it was, I can't remember. But it was a lot more than what I actually added in. So as you can see, it was not quite there, but not far off. So I was going to add a tiny little bit more. Whisk it up. Make sure you do mix it up very well. You don't need a spoon or anything, your fingers are just fine. And that is it done. So we're going to use some cotton pads and we're going to put some micellar infused with oil on them and just put that all over the face. It'll take off any dirt and it'll also leave the skin moisturised. Now we're going to take MAC Select Cover Up in NW15 and we're going to take a MAC 242 brush and we're just going to put that on the eye, and that's going to be used as a base for the eyeshadows. And then I'm going to take a MAC 252 brush and then that's going to be patted down and it's going to be blended in. You don't really need to be too neat with this, but you just need to make sure that those edges are blended. And then we're just going to do the same on the other eye. So 242 brush to put the product down and then the 252 brush to pat the product out. And then just going over with my finger just to make sure that everything is blended the way I want it to be. Now we're going to take the Morphe 35B palette and I'm just using a random Morphe brush. I can't remember which one it is because the numbers have blurred out, but we're using the lightest blue shade and this is going to be our transition shade. Then I just swapped with the Zoeva 221 and that is just to blur those edges out. Now going back with the original Zoeva brush and we're just going in with the darker blue and that's going in the inner and the outer corner to add some depth. Now taking the MAC 221 and we're going with the darkest blue in the palette, and again we're just darkening those creases, the inner and the outer corner. Concentrate right in those corners. always remembering to blend. And then we're just going to repeat on the other side. So first the lightest blue colour, and that's the transition shade. Remember to blend because we don't want to see any harsh lines. Now with this first shade you can window wipe, but as you get to the darker colours you want to be doing smaller motions because you want to concentrate them colours in the outer and the inner corner. Now obviously this video is sped up, so you can see I do take a lot of time blending, and this is what you should do. Now we're taking the Select Cover Up on a 242 brush again, and this is going to create a spotlight. What we want to achieve is we want the top part to be the widest and the part closest to the lash line wants to be narrow. Now do take your time with this. A tip is get your brush, dip down into the product, not patting on, dip down, and that will give your brush a clear cut edge. Remember to take your time with this step. Everybody makes mistakes, it is just how we correct them. Now we're going back in with that dark blue again, and that is just to add more depth. It will also help with blending. Now going on the other eye, again carve out that round shape. That brush does do most of the work for you if you remember the technique I mentioned before. Just dip down, not pat down, and then create the circle. And remember, the part closest to the lash line is what you want to be narrow. Now I'm just going back in with that dark blue again. This is how I do all my spotlight eyes. Now we're going to be using MAC Reflects Blue glitter. It is quite a small fine grain glitter. So for this I just use normal lash glue, and because we're using lash glue you want to use a cheap brush. The one I'm using I just got off eBay, and just concentrate that right on the spotlight you've created with the concealer. Now I'm just popping the glitter on that spot. You can pack on as much as you like. Again, I'm only using a cheap brush because of the tacky glue. And then we're just repeating that step on the other side. Now we're just taking Select Cover Up Concealer again in NW15 under the eye, and we're patting that out with a 252, correcting the edges, making them sharp. Remember, we're only using Cover Up as a base, we're not using it as a concealer. The consistency of Select Cover Up allows the shadows to attach and it makes them a lot more pigmented. Now we're taking a 221 under the lash and we're using the darkest shade and bringing that across the lash line. Just going to put that on the waterline. Because I've got small eyes, it does help open them up. And I just think it adds to this frozen look. Some people are uncomfortable with doing this, so you can do what you want. This is just my way. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some glitter, which is like an ice sort of shard shape, and I'm going to put that under the eye, and I want to put that in a triangle shape to give the look some more edge. And I'm going to be using the same glue as before on a cheap brush like before. I am going to be using a different shape because I do want a triangle. So this is just a cheap lip brush, and I'm putting that glue on in a triangle. You don't have to be too neat with this, don't worry if it goes a little bit wrong, because this glitter is quite chunky, you can manoeuvre it how you want. So there you can see I've just put the glitter on. And now I'm just doing the same on the opposite eye. I was going to put some snowflakes on, but I don't think it needed it because the eyes draw you in. And now I'm just taking the NYX white eyeliner and I'm putting that on the lashes. And this is to give it that frozen look. If you have a white mascara, that would be better, but I didn't, so I was just making use of the items I did have. I am also going to add lashes. So for this, I am going to paint the lashes white because I couldn't find any white lashes. I did have one already made, but now I'm making the second. So just use that white liner and pop them over. Because I don't want the lashes too feathery, this did work for me, but if I did want the lashes feathery, I wouldn't use this technique. And then I just left them to one side whilst they dried, and then I was going to do the next step. Now this is the foundation. I decided to use foundation because my skin is very dry, so I did try this look with a white paint by Snazzaroo and it completely dried my skin out. It looked absolutely awful, it cracked, so I decided to just use normal foundation, and this is NARS Sheer Glow in Mont Blanc, and I'm using the Morphe R36 brush. And I'm just blending that all down my neck, across my face, and up my temple. I do really like this brush for blending. I think it's actually a highlighting brush, but it works really well for foundation. It's also a really good brush to get in between the brows, around the brows. So yes, 5-star from me. I think it was quite affordable too. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that same brush and I'm going to use RCMA No Colour Powder, and the reason I'm doing this is because the next step I'm going to be contouring with eyeshadow, and it just gives it something to blend with. I usually wouldn't actually use a setting powder because the technique itself should work with setting. Now I'm taking a Real Techniques brush, I can never say that, and I'm just using blue across the temples, under the cheekbone, under the jaw, all the usual places where you would put contour. And that is the lightest blue shade first. I did go over with a 168 by MAC because it's a larger brush, blends better. I'm going back in with that Real Techniques brush there, as I'm using the darker colour just to give it a bit more depth. And now I'm just going to do the other side. remember to get as high up as possible into your hairline. Now across the forehead I did go a bit low, and you will see us correct this in a minute. I didn't realise as I wasn't paying too much attention to it, but that's okay, mistakes are made. Again, just deepening that contour with the darker blue. Now I think here is where I notice, yep. So now to correct it, I'm just using the concealer, the Select Cover Concealer, and I'm just going to take that higher. Then I'm going to go back over with the blue again, just to make sure it's all blended nicely. Honestly, don't worry if you make a mistake, it's makeup, it wipes off, and you can just start again. And this is the last colour. This is the third darkest blue in that palette, and I'm putting that right in the corner in the temples. Now I'm brushing my eyebrows with a spoolie, and I'm going to be taking that NYX liner again, and that's going to be going over my eyebrows. Do be quite careful with this product because it is quite runny, I will say, so you only need a little bit. You do see us wipe off a few times because I used a bit too much, but for this look it is perfect. We don't want clean brows, we want them quite messy, quite jagged. And now I'm putting some glue over the brows, and now I'm adding the fake snow we made before. I did find using your finger was much better for this because obviously you got to pack it on a bit more. A little bit did coat my mouth and it didn't taste nice whatsoever. Do not recommend that. I did like how this turned out. It did look quite frosty, which was the look I'm going for. And now we're just going to repeat that step on the other side again. See, I used too much, so just be quite careful with that product as it is quite runny. It does go everywhere. I suppose you could always get a spoolie and run that product through the hairs as well if you wanted. And again, we're just popping that snow on. Now it's time to do the lips. For the lips, I decided to try Jeffree Star Drug Lord, and this is technically a review of this product too because it was my first time trying it. And I found this product quite difficult to work with, but that was because it was white. It is a very hard colour to make, I guess. When I was putting it on, I did find it went very, very, very streaky, so it took a lot of applications to put it on, and you'll see in the video that it did take us about maybe even 6 tries, and even then it wasn't to what I needed. But as I said, it is a very, very, very hard colour to make. If anybody does have a white lipstick that I recommend, leave them in the comments below. The lipstick itself did feel nice. It did dry quite quickly, which is good. It was just the streakiness of it. now we're going to take the white on an angled brush and we're just going to put that on the waterline. Because I've got small eyes, it does help open them up. And I just think it adds to this frozen look. Some people are uncomfortable with doing this, so you can do what you want. This is just my way. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some glitter, which is like an ice sort of shard shape, and I'm going to put that under the eye, and I want to put that in a triangle shape to give the look some more edge. And I'm going to be using the same glue as before on a cheap brush like before. I am going to be using a different shape because I do want a triangle. So this is just a cheap lip brush, and I'm putting that glue on in a triangle. You don't have to be too neat with this. Don't worry if it goes a little bit wrong, because this glitter is quite chunky. You can maneuver it how you want. So there you can see I've just put the glitter on. And now I'm just doing the same on the opposite eye. I was going to put some snowflakes on, but I don't think it needed it because the eyes draw you in. And now I'm just taking the NYX white eyeliner and I'm putting that on the lashes. And this is to give it that frozen look. If you have a white mascara. So now I've put the wig on out of the camera, I'm just going to pop this headband on. It has got snowflakes on, which is going to add to the look. Now I'm just going to add some snowflake sequins into the hair, and again it'll just give it that extra little bit of oomph. And lastly, I'm just going to add the snow that we made in the very beginning, and that's just going to go in the hair. Added a few more snowflakes, and that is basically this look done. I hope you liked this tutorial. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you have. And that's it. This is the finished look. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram @makeupbysiobhanxx and show me your recreations. Bye!